Well, well, well. Here we are again, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another edition of Jeff Does Vegas Live. Live from the studio here in Calgary, Alberta, Canada, in the basement of my home. This is JDV Live for Thursday, April the 23rd, 2020. I just want to welcome everybody to the program today, to the broadcast today, coming to you on Facebook Live. If there's anybody that you think would enjoy watching this broadcast today, please feel free to share the link with them. You can find the link, of course. Well, if you're watching this, you know where the link is. Duh. But please feel free to share the link. And if you like, you can get them to share the podcast as well at jeffdoesvegas.com. And of course, I'm also on Twitter and Instagram at jeffdoesvegas. I hope everybody's doing okay on this Thursday afternoon or whenever it is you happen to be watching the program. Of course, it'll be living on Facebook and living on YouTube for all of eternity because, as we like to say, the internet never forgets, right? In case you don't know me, my name is Jeff, and I am the host of the Jeff Does Vegas podcast, which, as mentioned, can be found online at jeffdoesvegas.com. And you can also find it basically wherever you get your podcasts, whether you listen on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or we're on Stitcher, we're on Podbean. We are all over the place. So why are we here? Well, I kind of just wanted to take an opportunity with everybody to check in, see how you all were doing, let you know how I was doing, and maybe give you some updates of a few different things that are going on right now. First of all, before we get into to anything on the show here today, I want to thank everyone for your kind words, your messages, your texts, your emails over the last couple of weeks. For those that are not in the know, my father passed away back a couple of weeks ago. It was April 12th. It was Easter Sunday, actually, quite suddenly. And, these things get thrown at us in the world, and we kind of have to deal with them as best we can. Especially right now in this weird, crazy, bizarre world that we have going on right now. In a normal circumstance, my wife and I would have been on a plane. We would have been off to Winnipeg to go and see him and be there with him. Unfortunately, with the world being the way it is right now, we were not able to do that. And so we haven't really been able to deal with a lot of things like arrangements or sorting out affairs, things like that. His wife has been doing an absolutely amazing job there on her own, more or less. Her kids have been jumping in. My sister has been jumping in and helping out. Myself and my dad's sister, my aunt, are both away from Winnipeg. So unfortunately, we were again not able to help out. So we're kind of in a weird situation right now where we're all just sort of dealing with everything as best we can from a distance, and trying to work our way through everything. And certainly not easy to be doing, but you know what? We're all doing our best. We're doing an amazing job, I think, of trying to support each other and trying to be there for each other. And something else that I just wanted to touch on is, I don't think people realize how much of an impact they make in other people's worlds until tragedy strikes or something bad happens. I've talked about on this show my friends in Las Vegas, the people that I go down to see, the people that I hang out with, the people I spend time with when I'm there. And I've always kind of jokingly referred to them as my Vegas family. And during a difficult time like this, I think we really, both my wife Kim and I, really discovered how much of a family those people have become. When I I posted on my own personal Facebook page the news, and as soon as I posted that news, I started getting text messages and Facebook messages, people reaching out to me to make sure that we were doing okay and to see how we were doing. And I have to say, it was very eye-opening. And as I say, I don't think people realize for themselves how much of an impact they make on other people. And so, if you're ever wondering if other people are thinking about you and are concerned about you and are worried about you, they are. Trust me, they are. They're paying attention to you. They're watching out for you. They know what's going on in your life. Even if you don't necessarily realize that they know what's going on in your life, they do. And so I just wanted to take a moment to thank everyone, for all their messages, their texts, their emails, their tweets, their Facebook messages, everybody that's reached out. Thank you to all of you. So, I really wanted to make sure that I hit on that on the top of this live feed here. For those that are watching right now live, thank you for tuning in again. If you want to share this broadcast, please feel free to do so. Share it with your friends or anybody else that you think is interested in Las Vegas. Also, I have the comments window open here, so if you have any questions, please feel free, post them on here. Say hello to everyone, throw a shout out. I want to say hi. First of all, off the top here, Can't Turn It Off podcast. They are checking in from Minneapolis. Thank you very much. David checking in from Jersey. David, I think we talked once before when I did a live Facebook, if I'm not mistaken. So thank you to David for checking in. Jacob, I know you're far away. I can't remember exactly where you are, but I know you're far away because I believe we covered one of the topics that you wanted covered on the podcast previously, and I gave you a shout out. So thank you to all of you guys. And again, anybody watching has any questions, feel free to throw them out, and we will cover them. We'll try and answer them at some point during the broadcast here today. In the meantime, let's get into this live feed and let's talk about the things and the reasons why we are here. First of all, we want to talk about, unfortunately, some of the latest things and events to be canceled in Las Vegas. It's a weird time, of course. Back in the spring when COVID-19 really started to become a thing, lots of various events and conferences and conventions and things like that all kind of pulled the plug. And it seems like every week there's something new that happens to be pulling the plug and shutting down. The most recent one, World Series of Poker, which is a huge event, brings thousands of people in, always kicks off in May, is hosted at the Rio. They have postponed that event. They have marked it as postponed, not a cancellation. So World Series of Poker, they have said that they are going to look at starting off again come the fall. But again, no confirmed dates with that as of yet. Big festival that always happens every fall in downtown Las Vegas that is a huge music festival, huge arts festival, is the Life is Beautiful Festival. And they unfortunately officially pulled the plug on that one earlier this week as well. That always happens again, generally in September. They made the decision to outright cancel that event for 2020. So there will be no Life is Beautiful event for this year. Now, something else I like to talk about and cover when I do this, you may have seen them if you follow me on Facebook. You may have seen them posted. I like to call them my not Vegas, but stories. Announced earlier this week, New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio, he has canceled all non-essential events through to the end of June, which unfortunately includes Broadway performances. This is huge. I mean, my wife and I had an opportunity last summer. We went to New York City and we spent some time on Broadway. We were lucky enough to see 3 shows on Broadway last summer. This is huge. I mean, it's not just the shows that are affected by all of this. Of course, if you've ever been to New York City, you know how this all works out, how this goes. Broadway, that whole area over the course of during showtime is insane. It's restaurants, it's bars, it's coffee shops, it's pubs, it's all of that. This is hundreds of millions of dollars being lost in New York City right now. And so Broadway, the last that I heard, they were kind of hoping a best case scenario. They were talking about July as a best case scenario. But I think, unfortunately, from what I'm hearing and from people I know in New York City, it's sounding like they're looking more at the worst case scenario, which is probably going to be September before we see, unfortunately, before we see any shows opening up in New York City. Another big one that just got canceled, announced in the last couple of days, and this is huge, Oktoberfest. And this doesn't happen until September, until the fall. 6 million people on average come into Munich, Germany. This event pumps $1.1 billion into the economy in Munich. This has officially been canceled. This is absolutely crazy that this is a thing that is happening right now. Another big event. This was just kind of starting to break as I was getting ready to come on the air today. Here in Calgary, the Stampede. This is a massive event here in Calgary. It's a giant rodeo and a fair. When I first moved to Calgary 10 years ago, I kind of just went, it's like a county fair with horses, isn't it? Like, it's just kind of like a small exhibition. No, it's nothing. This is a massive event. Companies basically shut down for the 10 days that the Calgary Stampede is on. The event itself, usually brings in about $250 million in revenue into the city. Over the course of the year, all the other events that go on through the course of the year, the various fundraisers, various events, it's about $500 million. They are actually announcing later on today, it's supposed to be 3:00 Mountain Time, that they're anticipating that this show, the Calgary Stampede, is probably going to be canceled. I mean, other major fairs have been canceled, major events have been canceled. So again, I in all honesty, I assume that that's probably going to be a big cancellation as well, which again is just absolutely incredible and beyond sad. I mean, it's hundreds of millions of dollars for the city. All of these events are hundreds of millions of dollars for these cities, and they bring in tourism and they bring in revenue and it's just absolutely insane to think that some of these events are being canceled right now. I just can't even begin to comprehend looking forward at these events and trying to understand how they would even possibly try to go ahead with any of these events with social distancing and things like that. It's just beyond comprehension right now. I will freely admit that when this all started going down back in the spring, I mean, I've said it before, I am a worst case scenarioist. I will always follow something through to the least logical worst case scenario. But even for a worst case scenarioist like me, this was something that I honestly did not think was going to be as bad as it has been for everything, for the economy, for events, for employment. It's just, I just honestly, I can't even begin to believe how badly this is affecting people. And it's, I don't know. I don't even know what else to say. It's gotten to that point. As other events around the world start to cancel and things like that, I, of course, will share those events on Facebook and on Twitter. So make sure you're following me to be caught up on those. And, of course, if I do any future JDV live shows like this, I'll likely be updating people on those various events. Now, let's talk about what's happening in Las Vegas. Because, of course, that's why you're all here. You're here because y'all love Las Vegas. Y'all listen to the podcast and you know how much I love Las Vegas and how much it's killing me to not be able to get down to Las Vegas. We don't still have any kind of official word on a reopening date for anything as of yet. Some of the hotels, some of the resorts have started taking bookings for mid-May and Memorial Day weekend, which for the non-Americans that might be watching is like May 24th, 25th, that weekend. Personally, I don't think that's going to happen. But again, I don't want to throw out any of my own guests or anything. Governor Steve Sisolak, he is still saying that they right now in a press conference that they put out was that they did earlier this week. He said the way he put it was they are at phase 0 of a reopening plan, and that in the coming weeks they are going to look at solidifying plans to reopen the economy. So phase 0 is what they are saying right now. There's a whole set of guidelines and regulations that U.S. President Donald Trump put out as a federal guideline of things that need to occur before states should really start looking at opening the economy. And I say should because, as we've seen in the news, if you follow the news at all, there's several states that actually already have started reopening their economy. Crazy, but anyways, I don't want to get into that. We got lots of crazy coming up later on here in this little broadcast. So, I mean, they've actually decided in the state of Nevada that kids are not going back to school this year. Kids are not going to be returning to classes. Universities canceled, all that kind of stuff. So again, I'm thinking it's going to be a while, but again, the governor has said that he wants to start looking ahead at various things. Southern Nevada Health District, they've said that the state has not reached its peak for COVID-19 yet. There was some articles earlier in the month of April that said that they believe that the state had reached its peak for COVID-19. Again, Southern Nevada Health District, they are saying that it has not. The governor's medical experts, they also say that the state is nowhere near ready for what they're calling a broad reopening. And they'll probably look at doing a phased reopening by industry rather than focusing on specific dates. So what you may see is over the course of X amount of time, you'll start seeing maybe restaurants open, but for takeout only, which a lot of them already are. You might see bars open with limited seating availability. Easy for me to say. Availability. It's quarantine. I'm day drinking already. Woo! Yeah, can't turn it off podcast. You could be consuming this watching this with a cocktail in hand as it is. It doesn't matter. Anyway, so that's what they're looking at is a phased reopening by industry rather than focusing on a date. And of course, I mean, those dates are constantly changing, right? There's been talk for ever since everything sort of started locking down. I mean, initially it was going to be just a 2-week lockdown, right? And then it got extended, and then it's been extended further. And I mean, the Canada-US border was supposed to open this week. That's been extended another 30 days. So these goalposts are constantly moving because, of course, the research into the virus and what's happening is constantly changing. Now, this plan for a phased reopening and no reopening date, here we go, has really pissed off Las Vegas Mayor Carolyn Goodman. She's been making the rounds on TV over the course of this last week. Last week in a city council meeting, she got up and she ranted and raved and called Governor Sisolak's lockdown, quote, total insanity. Tuesday night, she was on MSNBC saying that she wanted everything open, was what she said. I want everything open. Just assume that everyone is a carrier of the disease and let it all play out as it will. The strong will survive, is basically the way she put it. Then on Wednesday, yesterday, oh boy, she appeared in an interview on CNN with Anderson Cooper. And quite honestly, I actually think that she broke Anderson Cooper. I legitimately think that she broke Anderson Cooper. It was, It was insane. I mean, to say that the interview was a dumpster fire, quite honestly, would be putting it kindly. It was, I don't even know what it was. It was the biggest dumpster fire I've ever seen in my life. Now, I tend to not talk politics on this podcast. And I'm not going to lie, I've been sucked into politics a little bit on Twitter and on my own personal Facebook feed. And listen, Trump's press conferences daily are a dumpster fire. This interview with Anderson Cooper was beyond dumpster fire, to be honest. Now, I wanted to talk about some of the craziest things that came out of this interview that Carolyn Goodman said. It was beyond ridiculous. So let's just start here with this one. I'd love everything open because I think we've had viruses for years that have been here. That was a thing that she said during this interview. Now, again, to be fair, yeah, I'm sure there have been viruses for years that have been in Las Vegas. That's absolutely 100% the truth. But there's never been a COVID-19 before. There's never been a coronavirus like this. At one point, he talked about Ebola, and she said, well, we don't know if we've never had Ebola here. No, I'm pretty sure you do know, because if you did have Ebola, you would have had people bleeding out of their eyes on the floors of your casino. It's just insane. So that was one of the things that came up in the course of her discussion with Anderson Cooper yesterday. This was another one of my favorites. Las Vegas is the entertainment capital of the world where everything is clean. Listen, I love Las Vegas. I love my friends in Las Vegas. I love everything about Las Vegas. But I got to be honest with you. I don't know that I would describe Las Vegas, particularly downtown Las Vegas, which she is officially the mayor of, by the way. She has no jurisdiction over the Strip. Let's just get that straight first off. She has absolutely no jurisdiction over the Strip. So downtown Las Vegas, my heart for Fremont Street. In past episodes of the podcast, I said I don't like Fremont Street. I don't like going to Fremont Street. I'm not going to lie. In the last couple of visits, I've gotten a little bit more of a fan of Fremont Street. But clean is not a word I would use to describe Fremont Street. Sergio for Viva Las Value, he's on the chat. I definitely wouldn't describe my exploits as quote unquote clean. You're right. I've seen people urinating behind garbage cans on Fremont Street and on the Strip. I've seen horrible, horrible things on Fremont Street and on the Strip. It is just, it's so bad. It's so bad. This was another gem that came out of the interview last night. Anderson Cooper, bless his heart, he tried to bring up a graphic that showed how coronavirus had spread in a restaurant in China from someone who was asymptomatic to multiple people sitting around him. And they said they thought it was actually the air conditioning system that may have caused the virus to spread the way it did. And he mentioned China, and she said, no, this isn't China. This is Las Vegas, Nevada. Listen, viruses do not know geography. They don't care whether they're in Wuhan, Las Vegas, or Timbuktu. They spread exactly the same. Clueless, absolutely, completely, and totally clueless. And we've got one more for you here. And this was possibly the biggest Whiskey Tango Foxtrot moment of the entire interview. When Carolyn Goodman, the mayor of Las Vegas, said, we offered to be a controlled group. She basically admitted I don't even know how to explain this. She basically admitted that she reached out to the government and offered them the opportunity to have Las Vegas be a control group for testing whether or not social distancing actually worked by not having social distancing in the city of Las Vegas. I don't know what was more disturbing, quite honestly, of this entire interview. I'm not sure if it was more disturbing the actual interview and the discussions themselves and what came out of the discussions and what came out of her mouth, or the fact that afterwards there were still people supporting her. Listen, I think it's completely and totally reasonable that this is about the most accurate description of how everybody felt watching this interview. Whether you watched it live yesterday afternoon or you watched it last night, Anderson Cooper in that photo was everybody watching. This was possibly the most... Again, I don't get it. I just absolutely 100% do not understand any of this. I don't get any of what came out of this. This just, like, I don't even know where to begin with this, with her, with any of this. It's the most, I don't know. And I got to tell you, so many of my friends on Facebook who are from Las Vegas were instantly posting after this interview aired saying how they regretted that she is the mayor of Las Vegas and how they constantly were coming out saying, you know what, we don't support her. We don't agree with her. She doesn't speak for everyone. I mean, it was pretty clear where her loyalty was. Her loyalty is clearly not with the people of Las Vegas. I don't think, especially immediately following the interview, one of the biggest unions in Las Vegas that represents thousands and thousands of casino and hotel workers immediately lashed out at her and spoke out at her, saying that I think it was 11 or 12 of their members had actually passed away from COVID-19. And how dare she say that she's speaking for them, and how dare she offer them up as a control group for the disease. Oh man alive. Again, I don't understand how after this aired, I don't understand how people could continue to support her, but somehow they sure did. But again, anyways, just absolute lunacy and insanity. To be fair, as mentioned, some hotels are starting to make plans for an opening mid-May. I think that's optimistic, but again, it's good that these plans are starting to come out. We are starting to see some of the first plans to come out from some of the hotels. The Wynn, they are the first on right now. Wynn CEO Matt Maddox, he wrote an article for, I think it was the Nevada Independent, which is a media website in Las Vegas. He wrote an article. They also on their website released some of their plans of what they're saying they want to do for a reopening of Las Vegas. They've said their plan includes things like thermal cameras to check people's body temperature, temperature checks at the entrances. You've, I'm sure, seen photos and video of the different places where they're using like what look like almost like little lasers, and they're pointing them at people's foreheads to check for temperatures. So they're talking about doing temperature checks at entrances. They're talking about giving masks to all guests. Anybody that comes in, they'll give them a face mask, hand sanitizer, things like that. They're talking about social distancing in the casinos, limiting players at the table games, as well as limiting space between slot machines and slot players. And they're also talking about social distancing in the restaurants and at the pools, where they've said that they will set chairs 6 feet apart so that everybody is properly socially distanced. I don't know if that's going to be effective or not, but I think it's certainly interesting to see that some of the casinos are starting to come out with plans already. MGM acting CEO Bill Hornbuckle, he threw out a video on LinkedIn, which I got to admit is a platform that I don't spend a whole lot of time on. People keep telling me I should be on LinkedIn, but again, I haven't spent a whole ton of time on it. He put out a video saying the company would be, quote, operating differently, but no exact details were given. He did say that every facet of the company would be impacted, from casino floors to restaurants. So again, no exact idea of what that means for sure, but they've said that they're going to be making changes. No word at all from Caesars Resorts or any of the other gaming properties, so not 100% sure what their plans are. Now, I decided yesterday I was going to throw this out as something different. I did a Twitter poll yesterday. I threw a little hypothetical question up on Twitter. This was what I put up. I said, hypothetical question, Vegas opens up, limited hotels open, limited casino availability, no pools, no clubs, no shows, no spas, limited restaurants, and lots of restrictions, including masks, gloves at table games, and temperature checks at entrances. Are you still going? Gave the options of hell yes, Vegas, baby, or nope, no fun to be had. It would seem that most people are on my side with the nope, no fun to be had. 67.8% of people responding saying nope, no fun to be had. 32.2% saying hell yes, Vegas, baby. I'm not going to lie. I found that a little bit interesting. So many people, I mean, I don't feel like that's a vacation. I go on vacation to not be stressed. I go to Las Vegas to not be stressed. I go to Vegas to let loose and have a few drinks and do some people watching and just kind of enjoy myself. It's pretty bizarre to me that if those things aren't there, that people would still want to go. For the most part, it seemed that people did agree with me. Some of the responses, Eric, who's a loyal follower on Twitter, he said, nope, because to me, that's just not Vegas. It's just gambling, which I can do locally. Kristen, pools are a deal breaker for me. I want that Vegas sunshine. Otherwise, I'm in. And Chris, not going until it's normal, which unfortunately seems like it might not be for a while. That being said, Vegas is the first trip we're taking when we're ready. Few other responses that came in. Vegas Duffy, like you, I usually do about 6 trips a year, sometimes as many as 8. Itching to get back as soon as possible, and I'm okay with your hypothetical restrictions. That said, I'm trying to balance that with being safe and sensible. I don't want to expose my family to anything. I think that's the other thing that a lot of people aren't necessarily taking into consideration, is that if they go to Las Vegas and they do happen to pick up COVID, even if they're not symptomatic themselves and they don't get sick, there's that possibility that they're going to be bringing it home. Amanda, she said, that's not a vacation to me. And Vegas Insight responded, I had no plans to go before this fall. And at this point, I'm not expecting to go this fall. If it makes sense, I'll be delighted to book a trip. If it doesn't make sense, it'll be my first year in more than a decade without a Vegas trip. If it's the latter, I'll survive. It's just sad, but you know what? I completely and totally understand on that. And just a few more responses here. Nope, buffets will still be closed. I'll pass, says Raider Killer Ray. DeSaul 1 says, I plan on going over Labor Day for 6 nights. We pushed our July trip out in hopes that Vegas will have a sustainable plan to host visitors, etc. If they don't, we'll wait till next year. We will know so much more about this virus in a month or two and we'll adapt accordingly. And Ringo and Olive Beagle, see you in 2022 Vegas. That's sad. I totally understand it though. I completely and totally get that. The more I look at everything and the more I look at the direction things are going, both on a personal side and on the world side, I really I really suspect that I'm probably not going to get another trip to Vegas this year, which is disappointing on a lot of different levels. I it's sad, but I mean, what else are you going to do? I mean, first of all, we can't travel as Canadians. We can't travel to the US anyways, but just looking at my own situation and looking at the situation down there, again, like I say, all those kinds of restrictions, that is, in my mind, that's not a vacation. That's not any fun. I don't want to go to Las Vegas, to a place where I'm going to get my temperature taken every time I walk through the door of a casino, and I'm going to have to walk around wearing a mask, and I'm not going to be able to go to a show necessarily, or if I do, the showrooms are going to be half empty because everybody has to be 6 feet away from each other. I just don't think it's going to be happening for a very long time, and again, it kills me because, as I said, I've got friends down there. I would love to have the opportunity to be able to go down and see those friends and spend time with them and have a visit with them. But right now, it is just not looking like that's going to happen. All right, enough of the Debbie Downer stuff. Let's talk about some positive stuff that's going to be happening over the next little while here, okay? I want to talk about a big event that is happening on Monday, April the 27th, from 5 p.m. to 11 p.m. Pacific time. I've talked about at end almost to a point where people are like, dude, STFU about this. Monday's dark. My buddy Mark Chinook, this guy, again, he is a person that I admire in so many different ways, simply because he sees a need and he jumps on it. His brain never quits. He's always going. His brain never stops. He sees a need, he jumps on it. When everything started to shut down in Las Vegas, and the shows started closing down and the entertainers started losing their jobs, Mark wanted to do something for the entertainers. He wanted to make sure that he could do something for his fellow entertainers. And so the first Monday's Dark, after everything started shut down, was streamed online. No audience in the building, in the space, but they streamed the entire show online, kind of as a test to see whether or not they could do it more so in the future. And so when all of this started going down, Mark reached out to a group called the Actors Fund, and he wanted to put together basically a live streaming telethon event. So that's what's happening on Monday, April the 27th, from 5 p.m. to 11 p.m. Monday's Dark hosting this massive live stream telethon event. Now, I want to bring this up because I want you to see what's going to be happening at this show. Some of the people that are going to be making appearances, there's a lot of familiar names on this. Brad Garrett, comedian, of course. Everybody loves Raymond, runs a comedy club at the MGM Grand. He's going to be making an appearance there. Shania Twain. Say what? Shania Twain is going to be appearing. I'm guessing by video, making an appearance for the event. She's going to be there. Joey Fatone from NSYNC. Mark worked with Joey Fatone. Joey jumped in on the cast of Rock of Ages for a couple of months, I believe, when the show was running at the Venetian. Joey was playing the lead, playing one of the leads, and so he became friends with Mark. So he's going to be on there. Olivia Newton-John, Let's Get Physical. She will be there. Terry Fader, of course, America's Got Talent winner. He is going to be there. Debbie Gibson. Oh my God, I had such a crush on Debbie Gibson back in the 80s when I was like, I guess I would have been like just shy of my teens, into my early teens. And it was like Debbie Gibson and Tiffany. They were the two. I don't want to get into it. And Mr. Wayne Newton, of course, Mr. Las Vegas, Wayne Newton, he is going to be making an appearance for this as well. There's going to be a ton of other performances going on there as well, including the likes of many folks who have appeared on this very podcast. Murray the Magician, Vin A. from the Bronx Wanderers, Lisa Marie Smith, Trump impersonator extraordinaire, John D. Domenico. He's going to be on there. Mike Gordy Brown, hard pass. Come on. Yes, Gordy Brown is going to be there. Daniel Emmett, who is also in America's Got Talent, Chris Phillips of Zoe Bowie, he's going to be there. Skydie Miles, she is absolutely amazing, just an incredible performer. Magician Hans Klock, he's going to be there. You may have caught Hans at the performing at the Excalibur. I'm just running through some of these other names. Ruby Lewis, she is also absolutely an amazing performer. Kenny Davidson, friend of the show, he's going to be there. The Moonshiners, if you've never seen the Moonshiners perform, they are incredible. They're kind of like Postmodern Jukebox, same idea. They take pop hits and rock hits and put a Prohibition era twist on them. They're fantastic. They're going to be there. Enoch Augustus Scott, who is one of the leads in Zombie Burlesque at Planet Hollywood, he's going to be there. Colin Cahill and Mackenzie Fly, Mac and the Cheese, they're going to be there. It's going to be an absolutely incredible show that you're not going to want to miss. And as mentioned on this, money raised is going to be going to the Actors Fund, which is a big charity that distributes funds to not just actors, but performers all over the U.S. and people that work in theater and people that work in performance. So it's not just actors, as I say, it's musicians, it's technicians, it's directors, it's all these different people. And so basically Monday's Dark and Mark and his team reached out to the Actors Fund to try to form some kind of partnership where they could do a telethon and people could make donations to the Actors Fund, and that money could then get distributed to performers in Las Vegas who are currently out of work. And sorry, I'm laughing at one of the comments. Can't turn it off. You guys, you're killing me. You're absolutely killing me today. Anyways, basically, they're going to work at distributing this money to some of the folks who are out of work right now in Las Vegas. And I got to tell you that these performers, a lot of times, like they want to perform. That's one of the biggest things right now that I think people don't understand is they want to perform and they can't. These guys, they live for this. This is their job. This is what they do. They entertain people. And if they can't entertain people, they go nuts. So this is an opportunity as well for them to be able to get up on a stage and perform. Now, as mentioned, the whole thing is going to be streaming live. There's not going to be an audience. It's going to be happening at the Space in Las Vegas. The whole thing is going to be streaming live. You'll be able to get it at mondaysdark.com. You'll also be able to get it on their on the Mondays Dark Facebook page. And I will link to their feed from my Facebook page as well and from my Twitter. So you'll be able to find that on my Facebook and Twitter at Jeff Does Vegas. It's going to be just a absolutely insane performance. And again, starts at 5 p.m. Pacific time, goes to 11 p.m. Pacific. And I know Mark was talking about trying to put together some cool after hour stuff as well, and some exclusive live streams and things like that. So it should be very, 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 very interesting to watch and a lot of fun. I'll be tuning in. Who knows? Maybe I'll do it as a watch party on the Facebook page, and we'll enjoy some beverages and we'll watch some great entertainment live from the Space. I do want to talk about what's coming up on the next few episodes of the podcast as well, just to give you an idea of what I've been working on over the last little while. To start with, speaking of helping Las Vegas performers, the folks from the Socially Distanced Show, Devin Allred and Nina Kane, They are the hosts of the Socially Distant Show, which is a very cool online show. A very cool online show. And what they've done is they have started inviting Vegas performers to send them videos of their performances, which they then post on their Instagram and post on their YouTube, and they put them together into shows. So I got a hold of them. They actually had an article written on the Fox News website about them and what they were doing. They're showgirls in Las Vegas. They're performers in Las Vegas themselves, and they wanted to do something for their fellow performers. So good on them. So I was able to get in touch with them and get them on the show. Also coming up, I've got Mac and the Cheese, Mackenzie Fly and Colin Cahill. Mackenzie is one of the stars of the Vegas show, and I'm gonna try and get this right. Sex tips for a straight woman from a gay man. I think. I think that's right. Sex tips for a straight woman from a gay man. I'm 99.9% sure that's correct. Anyways, she's a performer. She's one of the leads in that show. Colin Cahill. You've probably seen him if you've been to Vegas and you've been to any of the big shows in town. There's a very good chance you've seen him. There's a very good chance you've seen his abs. He is generally shirtless when he performs. He is currently one of the leads in Atomic Saloon, the newest Spiegel World show, which is one of the funniest things I have ever seen in my entire life. So excited for that show to open back up once things get going again in Las Vegas. Anyways, the two of them together put together this little duo they call Mac and the Cheese, and I've been sharing some of their goofy songs and stuff on my Facebook page, and so I had a chance to chat with them this week, and so I'm looking at getting that episode out, not this upcoming Monday, but the following Monday. This upcoming Monday will be the interview with the Socially Distant Show, so you'll want to tune in for both of those. And then something else that I've actually been working on is something I'm calling Sin City Stories, and I'm doing some deep dives into some Vegas history, and so I'm working right now within the next couple of weeks of having volume 1 of Sin City Stories out. And I'm going to be focusing on 4 of the Las Vegas Strip's biggest failures. This has been kind of fascinating and really interesting to do some work on. So I'm going to be looking at the St. Regis residencies, which is at the Venetian and the Palazzo. I'm not going to give away too much because I want you to tune in on the podcast. So I'm going to talk about the St. Regis residencies. I'm going to talk about the Harmon Hotel, which was a giant cluster, you know what. I'm also going to talk about the Skyview Wheel, which was before the Link High Roller. So, but again, I don't want to give away too much because I want you to listen to the podcast. And then I'm also going to talk about the Fontainebleau Hotel, which has been an eyesore on the north end of the Las Vegas Strip for like 10 years now. So I'm working on getting all that together and putting stuff together. It's been kind of challenging to write this stuff without making it just sound like I'm reading the Wikipedia page, because that's boring. There's very few people that would make listening to someone read a Wikipedia page interesting. Morgan Freeman, maybe. I would love to hear Morgan Freeman read random Wikipedia pages. Morgan Freeman, if you're watching, you need to do that. Anyways, so I'm looking at getting that out within the next few weeks. That should be interesting. Also, too, just want to remind you, check out some of the past episodes of the podcast. The last couple were fun to put together. Episode number 59, The Tipping Point, is available right now. That was my conversation with Jacqueline Whitmore, who is she's an etiquette expert. She's been on TV a ton of times. She's appeared in a bunch of newspapers and magazines a ton of times. She came on, we talked about the custom of tipping. Particularly, we talked about some Vegas specific tipping stuff. Now, I don't know whether or not any of these tipping habits are still going to be applicable in a post-COVID-19 world, but still worth a listen. I would highly recommend you go check it out. Take a listen. If there's anything that I missed, if there's anything you want to dispute or discuss, please feel free. You could reach out to me and we can have those conversations. Also, I want to remind you to check out episode number 58 and my conversation with Murray Sawchuk, Murray the Magician. This was a lot of fun to do. Murray was awesome to talk to. He is a longtime Vegas headliner. If you haven't seen his Vegas show, which is currently at the Tropicana, you've probably seen him on TV. If you watch Pawn Stars, he is their magic expert. So anytime anybody brings in something weird, they claim they've got Harry Houdini's magic wand or whatever, he's the guy they call in to look at it and go over it. So you've probably seen him there. You might have seen him on, if you're a fan of the show Glow, he made an appearance in season 3 of the show Glow. So we talked a little bit about that. Murray was also kind enough to do some magic for us, which, again, you're thinking, how the hell does that work in a podcast? That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard, Jeff. No, it's not. What we did was we did the interview over Zoom, and he did some of that for us. And so what he did was we recorded that, and so there's videos of that on my YouTube channel. There's also video of him showing off some of his very cool vintage Vegas collection. He's got a couple of booths from the Dunes. I think it's the Dunes, and then he's also got some light fixtures from the Frank Sinatra suite at the Riviera. It's very, very cool stuff. Anyways, those videos are up on the on the official Jeff Does Vegas Facebook page. So I think we have pretty much officially covered everything that I wanted to cover in the live stream, and I think it went pretty well. We'll see. JDV Live. Watch for more of these to come out over the next little while. We'll see. I don't know. I got nothing else to do. Nothing better going on in my life right now. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. As always, if you have any feedback on the live stream, feedback on the podcast, if you've got suggestions or ideas of anything that you might want to hear about on the podcast, any entertainers you'd be interested in me interviewing or talking to, let me know. I'll reach out and see if we can get them on. I've kind of reached that point in the podcast when I talk to people now of basically, I've got the philosophy now of the worst they can do is say no. So if there's anybody that you would love to hear me talk to and you think would be really interesting for a conversation, let me know, and I'll reach out and see if I can try and get them on the show. If you have any other ideas or suggestions for things you might like to see on the podcast or hear on the podcast, let me know. If there's any suggestions you have for live streams, again, let me know. You can reach out to me directly via social media at Jeff Does Vegas, like you can see on the bottom of the screen there, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram at Jeff Does Vegas. You can also email me directly at jeff@jeffdoesvegas.com. All right. I think that pretty much wraps things up. I got to sneeze. I don't want to do it on the live stream. So bye, everybody.